I gotta find something somewhere that's wrong. All of a sudden, just convincing myself that our relationship has a ton of blind spots and we need to figure out what those blind spots are right now, because if we don't figure out what those blind spots are right now, then it's going to completely derail our entire freaking relationship. And then if it derails our entire freaking relationship, then we're going to break up and it's all going to fall apart. And then before we begin, I'd like us to take a moment to name the intention behind this space. This is Codependency Alchemy, a space for people who are tired of overthinking their relationships or shrinking themselves to feel chosen. I'm Alyssa, and I do this work because I've lived it. I have not arrived at some destination of healed, nor will I ever claim to be. I am here for the journey, and I'm here to share that journey with you. At the heart of this work is my soul's mission to heal the mother wound, to be seen and witnessed in the things that we tend to hide from or reject. Over the last 4 seasons, this podcast has grown to one of the top 100 relationship shows, and we're just getting started. Before we begin, I have a favor to ask. Pause for just a second to make sure you're subscribed. If you're ready for honesty, more self-trust, and more peace in your relationships, then you're in the right place. Hey babes, so we're right back to where we started. Not really, I'm being dramatic, but I think we really do need to talk about how we will continue to experience certain patterns and how they show up in our lives and just normalize the fuck out of it. Because the more judgment we hold towards codependency patterns or tendencies or upper limit problems showing up in our lives, the more suffering we're going to have, because we're seeing ourselves as these like not good or bad people who just can't get it right, rather than just seeing ourselves as humans having a human experience. And it makes sense that we're going to be triggered and we're going to find things wrong because it's just a part of human nature sometimes. And so here's something that happened for me this week that I'll unpack with you guys. I started watching this latest season of Couples Therapy on Amazon Prime. If you haven't watched Couples Therapy, it is just probably one of my favorite shows. I love Orna, and I think it is really helpful to watch other couples. And for me, at least, I can see the relationship dynamics so freaking clearly. And this last season, you guys, Nessa and Drea are the epitome of a codependent couple. And what's really, really cool in watching their story play out in this last season is that you can actually see the shift when one of them begins to just allow there to be space in their relationship and how it magnetizes them in a new way. It was literally like I could see what happened in Justin and I's relationship, where there's like this constant pressure and someone's always needing to be needed and the other person feeling suffocated, and then allowing there to be space. And now our relationship just has this like different energy and space to it where like I don't need him, he doesn't need me, but then when we're together it just feels really fulfilling, and there's less of that need to run and just like get away from because you feel suffocated. Like it's very, very cool to one, obviously witness that for our relationship, but watching Drea and Nessa's relationship play out was really, really cool. So if you want to see it and maybe see yourself in it as well, I highly recommend. It could be just, there's a lot of codependent relationships on Couples Therapy, which like of course makes sense, but I do feel like it allows you kind of like this outside looking in picture, and you can see how the dynamics play out, and you can see where the dynamics are actually causing more harm than good. And that was a hard thing for me to learn in my relationship, as yeah, for sure. But I'm getting off topic. What actually happened here is, in one of the relationships, Orna, who's the therapist on the show, she says something about one of the couples. I can't even remember their names, but something about co-dissociation. She's like, I feel like you guys like co-dissociate together. I still haven't looked this up, but I immediately was like, do Justin and I co-dissociate? Because I know I dissociate. I know that's one of my tendencies for sure. And then I was like, well, I kind of do my own thing. Like I'll sit on our couch and I'll watch 3 episodes of couples therapy, and Justin will be like back in his office and he'll be doing whatever he's doing, working on a project or playing video games or watching YouTube, like whatever he's doing. I stopped giving a shit or caring what he was doing, because like that's his time and I'm doing something and having me time, especially because we like both work from home in like this small home. So like it's good for us to have this little like space, and I feel good in it now. There was a time in the first half of our relationship where I did not feel good in that. Like I needed us to just be together and do things all the time. But anyways, again, off topic. So I'm like, am I dissociating when I'm just watching couples therapy or whatever, Love is Blind, whatever cringy reality show I'm watching? Is he dissociating when he's playing video games? And then I was starting to kind of like spiral on it. And Justin and I go on 2 walks a day to get our 10K steps in. And so on one of our walks, I was like, I'm so curious what it would be like if you and I went to therapy. Like, I wonder what our blind spots are. I'm still thinking about this like co-dissociation term that Orna used in the show. And Justin is like, I can't even remember what he said, to be honest, but we did end up having this discussion around co-dissociation. I was like, she said this word, I don't know what it means. And I was like, I think the story that I'm telling myself is like that we maybe have it and we are unaware of it. And then that has me thinking like, are there all these other blind spots in my relationship? Like probably, right? It makes sense. Like I think every relationship has its blind spots for sure. But now I'm like, I want to know what our blind spots are. And so I start getting like clingy to like, we need to know what our blind spots are. Similar to our conception journey of like, I need to know what the thing is that's keeping us from conceiving, and I need to do all these tests and I need to get all this information. It's like, I know this part of me very well. And even though I know this part of me that tries to cling to control as a way to feel safe, I know this logically, but here I am in the pattern, not seeing it until I'm saying all of this out loud to Justin. And then I start laughing. And he's like, what? And I was like, I think I'm doing the thing where things are really good and I'm trying to find something wrong. And he started laughing and he was like, I wasn't going to say it, but that's kind of what this seems like. It seems like you're looking for a problem, because realistically, we're happy. Like we go on our walks, we go to the gym 3 times a week. We run, we have our alone time, our space. Like we're planning our wedding. Like to be honest, there's a lot of really good shit happening. I got really good news about this thing that I've been working towards. Hint, hint, TED Talk, and the membership is going. Like there's literally so many good things. And last week I was really trying to allow myself to celebrate all these good things that were happening. And even in the book, like I know I've done a few podcast episodes where I talk about just prompts from Your Big Leap Year by Gay Hendricks, this book that we're reading inside the membership over on Substack, where one of the prompts for one of the days was like, can you allow yourself to feel more good feelings for longer and longer periods of time? And so I was really leaning into like, okay, can I feel good? Can I celebrate this, instead of like trying to be like, yeah, it's great, but but this, or like, yeah, that's exciting, but like having it go down. It's just like, yeah, this is exciting, I'm stoked about it. Yeah, this is really working out and I'm so excited about it. Like really pushing my edges and my capacity to feel good for longer and longer periods of time. And then this happened that day where I was like, I gotta find something somewhere that's wrong. Like all of a sudden just convincing myself that our relationship has a ton of blind spots and we need to figure out what those blind spots are right now, because if we don't figure out what those blind spots are right now, then it's going to completely derail our entire freaking relationship. And then if it derails our entire freaking relationship, then we're going to break up and it's all going to fall apart. And then, like, do you see how fast the catastrophizing can go? Even when I know that I have this tendency to catastrophize when things are going really good. So, all of this to say, the work here is noticing that I was doing the thing. Do you notice how I didn't notice it before I did it? I noticed it after I was doing it and in the midst of doing it. That is, I think, the most common time that we are aware that we're in a pattern or tendency or spiral. It is typically after or in the midst of. And what I see in our community so often is people really communicating and articulating this deep desire to somehow stop doing the pattern or tendency. They want to get out of it. They want to be void of it. They want it to never happen. Like, how do I catch myself before? That's what I hear people say. Or that's how I hear it all the time. How do I catch myself before it happens? What do I need to do in order to stop myself from self-sabotaging? Insert whatever. How do I stop myself from overriding a boundary? How do I stop myself from overgiving? How do I stop myself from self-sacrificing? But what if it was less about how do I get myself to stop before I do X, Y, or Z, and actually, what are the things that I'm going to do for myself when I notice that I'm doing X, Y, or Z? Because what ends up happening is when the pattern comes up, if we think that we shouldn't be doing it because we've somehow, condemned those actions, like we've condemned those actions as bad, wrong, not healthy. So if I do them, I'm bad, wrong, not healthy, right? I want us to kind of flip that on its head if we can, or at least try it on for size. And instead of seeing us as bad, wrong, unhealthy, seeing the pattern as maybe something we want to work on, but we are actually healthy, good, aware, responsible, loving, caring, compassionate, unconditionally loving. So we're going to hold ourselves through the part of us that was in the pattern instead of, why did I do it again? Which is what I could have done. And actually, I'll be frank with you. I did initially have the thought, like, why am I doing that thing again? Like, why can't I just feel good and allow myself to feel good for longer and longer periods of time? Why am I self-sabotaging my happiness, my joy, by like looking for something wrong? That thought crossed my mind. So I'm not void of it. I don't know if that will ever go away, but the point is that is what was here now. And so can I meet what is here now with compassion and love, because that's the only way I'm going to get through it. We're not going to get through it with more judgment, more shame, more blame, more guilt. All that's going to do is continue to perpetuate our core wounds of not good enough, failures, being broken. I think healing is saying, I have awareness that I lean into these types of tendencies and I know how to hold myself through them. So what I did is, like I said, I was talking to Justin about it. I was noticing that I was doing the pattern as I was sharing all of the, fears about our blind spots. And then I was like, I think what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a problem because there aren't any problems. And Justin, like I said, Justin laughed and he was like, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, I think that's probably what's going on here. And then I was just like, okay, what happened right before this? What happened right before I clung on to, we have blind spots, we need to fix it, we need to figure out, what's wrong with us in our relationship so that it doesn't spiral into and burst into flames, And it was all the good stuff. And so what I want us to consider this month, this week, today is what happens right before we spiral. I want you to take away this question, and I know I've shared it on other episodes. I don't know that I've shared it, but I feel like I had to have shared it on other episodes, probably even recent ones. But asking ourselves, what happened right before this? This is how we pattern track. And instead of fixating on the pattern and the derailing and the spiraling, just focusing on what triggered the spiral, the pattern, the tendency that showed up. What we get fixated on usually is the pattern or the tendency, but focusing on the pattern or the tendency is going to beget more pattern and the tendencies that we're working to move through. And so if we can shift our focus onto the thing that triggered the pattern, so that we can ask ourselves those prompts in the shadow work and inner child healing, and then move through those questions so that we can find the wisdom within the trigger. Every trigger is just a part of us that is wanting to be seen, heard, and tended to. If we can stop seeing the trigger as wrong and seeing it as an opportunity to meet a part of us that's ready to be healed, that changes the entire freaking thing. It's empowering, it's invigorating, it's life-giving, it's exciting. It's literally an opportunity being handed to us. I have an opportunity to heal something because I'm feeling something so deeply. I'm in it in this moment. And now, because I'm in it and I feel the intensity of those feelings in this moment, that visceral experience is needed to transmute. So we're actually in a moment of alchemy when we notice the pattern or trigger when we're in it or after we notice that we did it. Can you imagine how different our experience get to be when we stop saying, how do I stop doing this thing because it's ruining my relationship? And instead say, whoa, I did this thing. Can I meet this part of me and tend to it and figure out why this showed up for me right now by doing the shadow work and inner child healing, and then bring that to my partner? Because that's ultimately what I did kind of in real time with Justin, is I'm talking to him about this thing that I'm worried is happening. But then I also name the trigger, which is like all this good stuff is happening, right? Now I'm trying to find something wrong and laughing about it with him to transmute and heal it, because it's like that part of me just needs some lightness, needs some love, needs some compassion, needs some playfulness, instead of being like, we need to figure out what our blind spots are. That's how it started, though, right? That's how it started. The pattern was find something wrong, but then I'm able to communicate to him all these other pieces. So now we have this deep, meaningful conversation. We have some depth. He's understanding me more because he's hearing me and how I've processed this. Whoa, okay, so now I know that Alyssa, when things are really good, she'll kind of do this thing where she'll find something wrong, and then how can I just hold space for her when she's in that portal for herself? Like, he now understands me a little bit better because I am sharing this with him in real time. What I really hope you walk away from this episode with is a deeper compassion for the moments where you find yourself in patterns that you have deemed bad or not good or unhealthy. In fact, go ahead and write down all the things that you do that you wish you didn't do. Make a list of 5, 10 things that you say to yourself, oh, I wish I didn't do this. Then I want you to take 3 of those things from that list. And this is straight from the Shadow Work and Inner Child Guide. Those 3 things, you're going to ask yourself, what does that part of me want? What does that part of me need? And how will that part of me feel when it gets that need met? If we can shift out of I need to be void of these patterns and into I need to know ways to move through these patterns in a way that actually makes a difference in my life and my relationship, this is how we do it. Bring awareness to them, figure out what they actually want and need, and begin to tend to them by meeting those needs for yourself. That part of me that was looking for something wrong wanted to know that everything was going to be okay. That part of me needed safety. How that part of me would feel when it gets that need met is free, liberated, relaxed, calm. So I don't need to find a way to extinguish the pattern. The pattern's there to show me that what I need right now is actually safety. So that's what I mean when triggers are direct correlations to healing. Can we use the trigger to figure out what we need so that we can get on the other side of it instead of spiraling and looking to somebody else to meet that need for us, to fill that void for us? So your invitation is to go into the comments. If you're watching on Spotify, go ahead and scroll down, or Substack, go down to the comments and just go ahead and write. You don't have to hit send, like I say, every episode. This is for you, not for anyone else. But if you want to be seen and witnessed in it, I encourage you to hit post. Healing the mother wound is allowing yourself to be seen, heard, not alone in this. It's always an honor to witness you guys in your shares, but by all means, whatever feels safest or most accessible to you, please do that. From the 10 things that you write down, just put one in the comments and share, what does that part of you actually want? What does that part of you need? And how will that part of you feel when it gets that need met? And if you haven't checked out my free shadow work and inner child guide, definitely go download it. It is gold. I think most people don't know it's gold until you've actually moved through the shadow work and inner child practice. It can be hard to just know how powerful it actually is, but it is a tool that can literally change your life when you use it. If you want to hear what it's like to do a shadow work and inner child practice, we do this every single month inside our Codependency Alchemy membership over on Substack. The second Tuesday of every month. It's actually some of the locked episodes on Spotify. We move through a live shadow work and inner child practice on whatever the theme of the month is. And all those sessions, all those replays are available for paid subscribers over on Substack. If you want to become a paid subscriber and get access to all of our on-demand masterclasses, all of our live shadow work and inner child replays, and AMA chats that I also do once a month, you can scroll down, check out the show notes or description box below, and sign up there. That's what I have for you guys today. Thank you for hearing my messy experience with the whole self-saboteur in me. We love that part. We tend to that part. We hold just so much gratitude for that part because it showed me where I'm being invited to expand my capacity for more joy. And all that part of me needed was more safety. It was like, hey, Alyssa, we're calling in more joy. We're going to need to build a little bit more safety because this is our edge. So let's grow it a little bit more. And I'm like, thank goodness that part of me came in, triggered me so I could see that what I actually need is a little bit more safety as I continue to expand into more joy, expand into more visibility, expand into more abundance and happiness and joy and playfulness. Like we're always coming up against our edges, and sometimes we need certain things to feel safe in expanding into those into new edges, right? So can we thank the trigger for showing us what we need so that we can receive more of what we want? That's what I have for you guys today. I love you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.